Hey everybody, what's up? As you can see, I've got some pretty exciting stuff to talk about. At least I think so. This is my 1985 C10 Long Bed pickup. I LS swapped this truck back in 2020. It's kind of a COVID project. It's got a 5.3 out of a 2001 Silverado, unknown mileage, and it currently has a 4L60E in it. And it's been a perfectly fine truck. I enjoy driving it. Probably don't drive it as much as I should, but for a long time I've been wanting to manual swap this truck. So this year I decided to finally pull the trigger and invest a little bit of money or a lot of money. It actually makes me feel a little bit sick when I think about how much money I've just spent on all this stuff. But it's going to be fun, I think. So I actually just wanted to give a brief rundown of what I bought, who I bought it from, and my thoughts so far. So I ordered from Silver Sport Transmission. They're not the only company in the game that makes these sort of kits where you can upgrade your ride. But I decided to go with them. They had some good ratings online as far as their customer service goes. The pricing was pretty much on par, regardless of whether you went with them or American Powertrain or somebody else. So I just decided to go with them. And so far, I've been very pleased with my buying experience. So first off, I went through on their website and actually filled out a kind of a quick quote form. Gave some basic information about the truck, what kind of engine I currently had in it, that sort of thing. And then they sent me a customized breakdown of a parts list. Now, I will say that don't just blindly order the list they give you, because there's things that aren't in the questions. Things like, do you have an electronic speedometer? Do you still have a mechanical speedometer? So there's parts in here for an electronic hookup and a mechanical hookup. And obviously you don't need both. So make sure you either go through the quote pretty carefully and kind of choose what you want, or get on the phone and talk to somebody. There's a couple of other things that I did not order through them. One being their forward shifter mount, because the transmission that I ordered, which is the Magnum, has 3 shifter positions that you can put it in. There's like the stock position. You can rotate the shifter around for a second position, or you can move the whole thing forward. They recommend the forward position for a pickup with a bench seat. However, I'm using the Tejas motor mounts for my 5.3, which moves the engine 3 inches forward roughly of its stock location. So I've seen some conflicting information. I may not need to use that forward mounting point. So I did not include that in my order. I did ask them to include a yoke that would fit this transmission, because apparently the 4L60 yoke is I want to say a 28 spline, and the yoke for this is a 31 spline. I might be misremembering that. But I just want to talk about what has my process been like? I called them up. I went through the list. I told them exactly what I wanted and what I didn't want. They immediately were okay with it and said, hey, yep, sure, we'll customize this information. And they still included, I bought during the Black Friday sales event where it's $250 off. So I got that. I actually ended up going back twice with revisions that I wanted to make. I changed my mind about a shifter handle. I changed my mind about something else, and they absolutely just accommodated me with no issues. So that was ordered on a Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving, and then Black Friday. Monday, I got the shipping notification, and they were ready to deliver on Wednesday. So I was really impressed with the turnaround speed. Now, I couldn't pick it up on Wednesday because I was getting hand surgery. So it did come finally on Thursday, and I had it delivered. So basically, 4 days after the date it was shipped. It showed up on a pallet. It was really well wrapped. Everything in it has been really well packaged. I ordered my fluids, not just the original or the break-in fluid, but the actual final fluid. I ordered their hydraulic clutch master and slave cylinder kit. because apparently even though I have hydraulic pedals that are good for like an 86, 87 pickup, the hydraulic master supposedly doesn't move enough fluid for the slave cylinder for the Magnum transmission. So I just went ahead and ordered their whole kit. I did price out trying to kind of piecemeal things, and it just seemed to make sense to me, just easier to just order their whole kit. Another thing that I didn't get from Silver Sport, although I did get the same exact clutch and flywheel they recommended, I ended up ordering these from Jegs because, again, Black Friday sales. I managed to get these for like 80 or $90 off for the set from what Silver Sport was quoting. So I did purchase those separately. Um, the only thing that I don't have in my possession yet is the bell housing. They were out of stock in the bell housing when the rest of this stuff shipped. However, the day this arrived, I got an email that the bell housing was shipping and it's going to be here this Saturday. And it's a McLeod, so it'll match with everything else. I just went through with the aluminum bell housing. I think the QuickTime blow-proof bell housing, obviously for high horsepower applications. Maybe someday I'll upgrade to that, but I couldn't. After spending everything else, I couldn't justify the extra $1,000 for one of those. So I went with just the aluminum one for now. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of give a quick breakdown about my experience so far. Like I said, everything, the customer service, although brief, has been great. Everything has been really well packaged. They even include a whole booklet of different instructions for how the different things go together and templates for cutting holes in your firewall and everything else. I will say that the only minor qualm that I have so far is I did unwrap the hydraulic master. So the C10's the master cylinder. You can't just bolt on an aftermarket one because the stock master sits at I believe a downward angle, and they actually make a little adapter, right, so that you can have a master cylinder that sits at the correct angle as the factory one. The problem that I have with that is for the money, it was $650 for the whole hydraulic kit, the throwout bearing and the master and the adapter and the lines. For that money, I would have appreciated a proper brand name, a Willwood or something like that master cylinder. Instead, I have some sort of, I don't know if it's still made by the same company and it's just like their off brand. It's got some gibberish embossed on the side of it. I would have appreciated for that price. It's $100 for a Willwood Master. I feel like that wouldn't have been too much to ask. If it works fine, in the end, I don't care. If it doesn't work fine, it's the little adapter that comes with it. I'll just be able to swap it out. That's not a big deal, I guess, in the long run. But that's really my only, like, as far as the stuff I've received so far. The other thing, and this is really, really minor, is the instructions don't seem to take into consideration that you may have a set of factory pedals. The factory pedals for a hydraulic setup have some braces that come up to the firewall that have studs that the master cylinder mounts to. The instructions don't seem to take that into account and just assume you're bolting it to a bare firewall. It would have been nice to see that little, like, hey, if you're doing this with a hydraulic setup, because there is a separate set of instructions for that, if you're doing this with a hydraulic setup, this is how it should bolt. There's no mention of what the factory setup actually looks like. So that's just a minor thing, right? But I'm taking note of the things that I'm seeing, and it's reminding me that I should double check all of my instructions, all of my things as I move forward installing this. So that's all for now. I've done enough babbling. Like I said, I'm pretty stoked about this. This has been something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I feel a little ill when I think about how much money is sitting right here, but I think it'll be worth it. I think it's going to make this truck a ton of fun to drive. I miss having 3 pedals. So yeah, as I work through actually getting this stuff installed, I'm going to try to record. I'm a little hobbled right now, but we should be able to get started on this soon. Also not shown here, I do have over there the high hump floor pan. So I'm going to have to cut the floor out of this, which also makes me a little bit sick, to put in a high hump floor pan to make room for this transmission. But yeah, so I'm going to be hopefully trying to record as I go, things I find and what the process looks like, because I haven't seen a lot of good content for installing a Magnum in one of these trucks. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this part of my content. It's a little bit different than the motorcycle stuff I've been making. And by the way, one last thing before I close, I am considering a channel change in the name because I do want to do mixed content. I don't want to just do motorcycles. I like to wrench on all kinds of stuff. So look for that potentially coming, changing it from the Dave's DIY to something else, something a little bit more unique, I guess. Hopefully you guys like it. But yeah, so follow along as we move through this in the next couple of months, and we'll have some fun with it.